We fade up from black to shots of the Salisbury Crags at Holyrood Park. The sun is out and the sky is blue with a few wispy clouds. This is Holyrood Park, an extinct volcano here in the middle of Edinburgh. And at the top is Arthurseat, 250 meters above sea level and the highest point in the area. And I am here to drag my middle-aged carcass up at the top of this metaphor, all in the name of mental and physical health. So, I'm ready. Are you ready to go, Nico?
I'm ready, let's go.
So, if everyone's ready, anyone with an attention span longer than 2 minutes, if you're ready, here we go. This is Edinburgh. Join me, won't you? I stare at the camera for a second, and then I just shrug my shoulders as if to say, This is the show intro with a montage of videos from trips I've taken around the world. My name is Joe Lamanna, and this is the Nervous Flyer. Everything I need is on the ground. We start the show with a short montage of my arrival in Edinburgh, getting off the plane, getting my luggage, and buying tickets for the tram that will take us downtown. So there's this funny moment in Rocky 3 where Adrian, Rocky, and Polly, they leave Philadelphia, they get on a plane, they fly to Los Angeles, then they take a cab downtown, and Apollo Creed is in the cab, that's important, and then when they get to their destination, Polly gets out of the cab and then says,
"What the hell are we doing here in LA?"
And I always thought that was so weird, like, he just flew across the country. He's in the cab with Apollo Creed and doesn't think to ask him what they're doing in LA until they get there. So I thought that is awkward exposition. So in the spirit of awkward exposition, Nico, I believe you have a question for me.
Yeah, Dad, what are we doing in Edinburgh?
That's a very good question. So we are going to visit some historical sites. I'm a big fan of history. And we're going to visit some movie locations around the city. You and I, we had a lot of success. We visited Tokyo. We saw a lot of locations from the anime Your Name. And it's always really satisfying when you can get the exact location. I think we're going to have a lot of success here with finding locations. So I'm looking forward to that. So we're here in Newtown on Princes Street. And New in Edinburgh years is about 200 years old. That's what they mean when they say Newtown is 200 years. And we are standing roughly in the same spot where the opening shot of Trainspotting was. In fact, it's roughly in this spot right here. It's Ewan McGregor and Ewan Bremner. They're running down Princes Street. They're running east, and they're being chased by security guards. This is one of the few places you can go where you can recreate an iconic movie scene in the exact spot that it was shot. So we're gonna do that right now. Ready?
Ready?
All right, go.
Go.
I start running, not very fast, and the camera follows. A couple shots later, and Ewan run down this flight of stairs and then make a right onto Calton Road, where they keep running under the huge arch tunnel near Waverley Station. The rest of this segment features still shots from the mentioned movies and then a dissolve to the location and how it looks today. In some cases, I'm standing where the actors stood in the movie. Further up Coburn Street is a shot from Avengers Infinity War. A short walk away is the Greyfriars Kirkyard, where we find locations from 1969's The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. This is Dame Maggie Smith in her Oscar-winning performance, giving her students a lesson here in the cemetery. In this scene, actor Robert Stevens, who was married to Maggie Smith at the time, runs out of his flat in nearby Merchant Street and runs into the kirkyard to talk to Miss Brodie. Later, they visit the Vennel, which has great views of nearby Edinburgh Castle, where Miss Brodie gives a history lesson about Mary, Queen of Scots. Near the Vennel is Harriet Place, site of a scene from 2010's Burke and Hare, the comedy about the 19th century serial killers. On the Royal Mile on Milnes Court, we find the location of one of Burke and Hare's murders. I'm gonna be murdered. Just to be clear, this is the location of a movie murder and not an historical location of where someone really got murdered. Murder! So, we're here on the Royal Mile, and this is Lady Stairs Close, that was used in the 1959 movie Battle of the Sexes with Peter Sellers. Now, if you were to ask me what's the fascination with movie locations, I would say that it's a tangible connection to the past, that these actors once stood in these places. At the Royal Scottish Academy, Peter Sellers stood in this spot, and that's really cool. You can say that about old movies. Newer movies, not so much. Avengers Infinity War featured a fight scene shot on Platform 2 at Waverley Station. With special effects being as sophisticated as they are, do actors need to physically be there? News reports from the time talked about the movie shooting there, but made no mention of any actors. I'm not saying they weren't there, but it's not clear that they were. And finally we go to Holyrood Park, which has been in countless films, like this scene in Chariots of Fire, as well as T2, the Trainspotting sequel. So I was able to match a couple of shots, but this last one was a bit tricky. I think I got the right spot, but the sun wasn't in the right place. Oh, so close. There's a fast-paced montage of shots from around the city, including street musicians, a bagpipe player, shots of me enjoying a beer, and a shot of me running to the top of a flight of stairs and throwing my hands up in the air like Rocky Balboa. And now a visit to Edinburgh Castle. This was a real treat. History everywhere I turned. It was a blast being there. The first thing you take in are the amazing views from the top of Castle Rock. You can see Holyrood Park, the Firth of Forth, the Scott Monument, and then looking out of the cannon embrasures and imagining one of the many battles fought over this castle in the last 1,000 years or so. Had the privilege of seeing the Scottish National War Memorial. No cameras were allowed inside, but it's very impressive. It has high ceilings, feels like a cathedral. It was very moving. Then there were the Scottish Crown Jewels. Very beautiful and impressive. No cameras allowed in there either, but everything else has an accompanying video. We visited the apartment where Mary Queen of Scots lived. There's no furniture in there, it's an empty room, but has portraits on the wall showing the lineage of kings and queens before and after Mary's life. There's an adjoining room to this apartment where it is believed James VI of Scotland was born. That was really cool. The oldest building in Edinburgh Castle would be St. Margaret's Chapel, dating back to the 12th century. A small and very serene space. The castle also has a dog cemetery. Started during Queen Victoria's reign, it's a burial place for officers' dogs. Then there's Mons Meg, a huge 500-year-old cannon called the Great Iron Murderer. It has a barrel diameter of 20 inches. The stone cannonballs for this thing are enormous, some weighing up to 380 pounds. Mons Meg could fire a shot up to 2 miles away. Try to imagine this thing in action. In the castle you will find the National War Museum of Scotland and the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards Museum, honoring the history of the Scottish Army. A lot of great exhibits, but I particularly liked these recruitment posters. The posters have captions saying, "The Navy wants men. Smart men wanted for the Scots Guards." And "The finest job in the world." And some of the artifacts were amazing too. The uniforms, the swords, personal effects and medals. I had never seen a Victoria Cross in person. That, along with the story of how it was won, was very poignant. Edinburgh has many, many, many statues and monuments, literally everywhere you turn. I mentioned the Scott Monument before, and that to me was the one I found the most magnificent. Built 175 years ago in honor of Sir Walter Scott, the author of Ivanhoe and Rob Roy. It's been described as something you might see in Middle-earth, which I think is super accurate. The details on the stonework are amazing. There are dozens of statues, big and small, representing characters from his novels. The statue of Scott at the base of the monument weighs 30 tons and was carved from a single piece of marble. All right, here's one final history lesson for today's show. Let's go to the University of Edinburgh campus, where you will find me. I'm going to tell the brief story of the Burke and Hare murders. So apparently, in the early 19th century here in Edinburgh, there was a shortage of cadavers for medical schools. So William Burke and William Hare stumbled across the idea that if they got their hands on a freshly dead corpse, they could sell it to Dr. Robert Knox, who was the head of the anatomy school. So the idea is that they would get their victims drunk, then they would murder them, then they would bring them up that Blackfriar Wynn Street, up the high school yards street in the dead of night, and then they would deliver them to this building here. Now, I don't know which entrance or which doorway they did deliver the bodies to. I know I sent an email to the University of Edinburgh asking them if they knew what doorway, what entrance Burke and Hare delivered the bodies, and they didn't get back to me. I don't know. Is that a weird question to ask, Nico? I don't know. The idea was that I would stand in front of, I would be like the proper historian in a documentary who stands in front of the thing and then talks about the thing. It was through these doors, maybe, that Burke and Hare made their ghastly deliveries of fresh bodies to Dr. Robert Knox. Something like that, you know? So this is Old Surgeons Hall. This is supposedly where Burke and Hare delivered their bodies to Dr. Robert Knox. All right, we're here on the lawn market, and this is where the story of Burke and Hare comes to an end. In 1828, they killed 16 people over a 10-month period. They were arrested at the end of 1828. They were charged with murder, and Hare turned king's evidence against Burke. So Burke was eventually convicted of 3 counts of murder. Hare basically got away with it. Nobody knows what happened to Hare. He basically got away with it. Burke was executed here on this spot publicly on January 28th, 1829. And the story was that a fifth of the population of Edinburgh turned out for the execution. And that would have been around 20,000 people. So you try to imagine looking around this whole area filled with 20,000 people. Supposedly they were at all the windows and the rooftops, all witnessed this execution in public right here. And these brass plaques on the ground mark the spot where the public gallows existed and where he was publicly executed. There's a coda to this story. After Burke's autopsy, it was discovered that someone took some of his skin and made it into a wallet. It's on display in a shop on Victoria Street. This is William Burke's skin wallet. That's lovely. And now for the When in Rome segment of the program, we go to Mum's Great Comfort Food on Forest Road, and I try the haggis with mash and pureed turnip.
All right.
I don't know if this is the right way, but let's see.
Not bad. Good.
Good. That's a vivid description, Joe. Great use of words. Let's go to Birdie's Proper Fish and Chips, where they have a unique variation on haggis. All right, we're going to try the haggis spring rolls. Let's take that out. Ooh, that's hot. That's hot. And the chili sauce. Let's give this a try. Similar to the haggis from yesterday. Good. The chili sauce makes it very different. Good, better. But yeah, it tastes about the same as the haggis from yesterday. Good and better. I hope everyone's appreciating this insightful commentary. We're about to wrap up this episode with our visit to Calton Hill. There are some great views from the top of this hill, along with, not surprisingly, some monuments. We had an amazing time here in Edinburgh. I highly and absolutely recommend coming here. You will not regret it. From Calton Hill, we see Holyrood Park with Arthurseat in the background, and then a shot of Princes Street with the Balmoral Hotel on the left and the Dugald Stewart Monument on the right. The music changes and we see various famous sights of Edinburgh, including the statue of the faithful dog, Greyfriars Bobby, the Heart of Midlothian mosaic in Old Town, the interior of St. Giles Cathedral, and Dean Village. The last shot is of the water of Leith, and the camera catches a duck in the water and follows it as it floats downstream with the current. All right, so we're here at Holyrood Park. We're ready to tackle Arthurseat. So why are we here? Oh, no, that's your question. That's your question.
Sorry, why are we here at Arthurseat?
Very good question, Nico. So I started this YouTube travel channel December 2019, right at the beginning of the pandemic, so perfect timing. Like many people, I had to cancel my travel plans. Like many people, I gained a lot of weight under quarantine. So I had a lot of time to think about what I wanted to do. I was working from home, so I'm sitting in that basement office, freezing, thinking about a lot of things. So I was thinking, what could I do? I like to travel, so what could I do that could also take off some of this blubber? And I was also thinking about that I've had my ups and downs and my struggles with depression, and I'm not likely to go on about it. So, but it's something that I was thinking about as well. So I'm not here because it's some great athletic achievement to tackle Arthurseat. Many people do it. But the idea was that I would be like an example to you and Bella, right? So this is what you think about, Nico. When you're a parent, you think about being an example to your kids. So this is the idea, was that about striving and continuing to move forward, even on the many days where I just didn't feel like it. So that was the idea. So that's why we're here. And I'm dedicating today's climb to my aunt and uncle, Maria and Antonio, who were taken by COVID last year. Just two of the sweetest people you could ever know. So Zia and Zio, this is for you. Here we go. It all starts with a step. We chose a path with stone steps that have been built into the side of the hill. I feel like I'm a hobbit, simply walking into Mordor. Our climb took about an hour. We stopped and rested as often as we needed, something I would highly recommend.
Don't fall.
I think I hurt my knee. We take a look back to see how high we've made it so far. We're almost there. There it is. This is the final push to the top. Let's go. Arthurseat is a dome of loose dirt and volcanic rock. This final walk to the top is steeper than the previous sections. You have to be careful and take your time. Ay, ay, ay. We're almost there. We reach a small plateau before the very top. Last few meters. Thank you. I get to the top and extend my arms in celebration. Almost right away I started to get emotional and was fighting back some tears. Wiping away some tears, I had no words and I was just taking in the moment.
How do you feel, Dad?
Feel good. A lot of things were crossing my mind. My aunt and uncle, my family. Just grateful to be there on that day with my son. We end with the view from the top of Arthurseat, looking down over the city and the countryside. We see Calton Hill, Holyrood Palace, Edinburgh Castle, and the Firth of Forth as it empties into the North Sea. The camera walks to the edge of Arthur's Seat overlooking the city. In the final shot, I extend a selfie stick to get an angle of me with the city in the background. Nico joins me in the shot and puts his arm around me. We both smile at the camera. Cut to black. Produced by Nicholas Lamanna. Written and edited by me, Joe Lamanna. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and don't miss our next episode as I climb the steps of the Eiffel Tower. I have a short list of places I'm planning to climb, so if you have any ideas, please send them my way. I'm looking for places that will be a challenge, but won't kill me. And I will work on my pronunciation of Edinburgh. It was all over the place during the show. I don't know what that was about. The guy at the hotel gave me the right pronunciation, and I still booted it around like a football. So my apologies for that. The haggis was good though. It was top-notch, supreme, and in a class by itself. That's from thesaurus.com.